She was a 21-year-old nursing student from Manila, carrying textbooks and dreams of saving lives. 6 months later, she stood in a marble palace in Dubai, diamonds on her fingers, fear in her heart. What started as an online romance with a wealthy sheikh turned into a living nightmare when she discovered a locked room in the West Wing. Inside, photographs of 3 women stared back at her, all young, all foreign, all wearing the same terrified expression she now saw in her own mirror. But what secrets was Sheikh Zayed hiding behind those palace walls? You are about to find out. Welcome to True Crime Journal HQ. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily update on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Michaela Ramirez grew up in a cramped 3-bedroom apartment in Quezon City, sharing a room with her 2 younger sisters. Her father, Ernesto, had spent 20 years working on cargo ships, sending money home while missing birthdays and graduations. Her mother, Linda, worked double shifts at a garment factory, her hands rough from years of sewing. They sacrificed everything so Michaela could attend Manila Central University's nursing program. Every morning, Michaela woke at 5 a.m. to prepare breakfast for her siblings before catching 2 jeepneys to campus. Her nursing uniform, a light blue polo shirt with the university crest, was worn but always spotless. She'd iron it the night before while reviewing anatomy notes. On weekends, she worked at a coffee shop near the university, serving overpriced lattes to students who casually spent what her family earned in a week. But Michaela never complained. She was the family's hope, the first to attend university. Her dream was to become a pediatric nurse, maybe work abroad for a few years to save money, then return to open a community clinic in their neighborhood. She'd seen too many children die from preventable illnesses because their families couldn't afford treatment. Despite the exhaustion, Michaela maintained a bright presence on social media. Instagram showed carefully curated photos, her in scrubs at the hospital, study sessions with friends, occasional splurges on street food after exams. She never posted about the leaking ceiling in their apartment or how she sometimes skipped meals to save money for textbooks. Online, life looked manageable, even hopeful. Her friends called her Mix the Optimist. She believed in hard work, destiny, and the goodness of people. When classmates warned her about scammers on dating apps, she'd laugh and say, "Not everyone's a criminal. Some people are genuinely looking for connection." That trusting nature, combined with crushing financial pressure, created the perfect vulnerability. Every day, Michaela watched wealthy foreign students at her university designer bags, latest phones, casual conversations about weekend trips to Boracay. She didn't envy them exactly, but she wondered what it felt like to not constantly worry about money. Have you ever met someone online who seemed too good to be true? For Michaela, that person appeared on a Thursday evening in March 2023 when she was scrolling through a dating app after a particularly brutal 12-hour hospital shift. His profile name was simply Zayed. The photos showed a well-groomed man in his 30s, designer sunglasses, tailored kandura, posing beside a white Bentley. His bio read, "Real estate investor, family-oriented, tired of superficial connections, looking for someone genuine." Michaela almost swiped past him. Men like this didn't match with girls like her. But then a message appeared. "I noticed you're studying nursing. My late mother was a nurse, most admirable profession in the world." That first conversation lasted 3 hours. Sheikh Zayed Al Suhail asked about her clinical rotations, her favorite subjects, her dreams. He talked about losing his mother to cancer, how the Filipino nurses at the hospital had treated her with such dignity and warmth. He made Michaela feel seen in a way no one had before. Within a week, they were video calling every night. Zayed would call at 1 p.m. Manila time, right after her shift. He'd ask about her day, remember small details she'd mentioned, send food delivery to her apartment when she mentioned being too tired to cook. "You work so hard," he'd say. "You deserve to be taken care of." The gift started arriving in week 3. A new phone, so we can video call in better quality. Flowers delivered to the hospital. "Everyone should know how special you are." Money transferred to her account. "For your textbooks, please. I insist." Michaela's roommate, Chen, grew suspicious. "Mix, you've never even met this guy in person. Why is he sending you money?" But Michaela was already falling. Zayed made her feel like the center of his universe. He'd say things like, "I can't focus on work thinking about you," And, "My family can't wait to meet the woman who's captured my heart." He talked about their future, enrolling her in Dubai's best nursing program, buying a home, giving her family a better life. The proposal came during a video call in May, exactly 2 months after they matched. Zayed held up a velvet box containing an emerald-cut diamond ring. "Michaela Ramirez, will you be my wife? Let me give you the life you deserve." Her father was furious. "You've known him 60 days. Why would a wealthy sheikh want to marry a girl from our neighborhood so quickly?" Her mother cried. "Baby, something feels wrong. Please, just wait." But Michaela heard only her own dreams calling no more financial struggles, a chance to help her family, a man who seemed to worship her. What would you do if your family warned you about someone you loved? Michaela chose Zayed. She'd learned soon enough why her parents' instincts had been screaming danger. But the warning signs were just beginning. Zayed arrived in Manila on June 15, 2023, stepping out of a black Mercedes with 3 large suitcases. For Michaela's father, a gold Rolex. For her mother, a Hermes handbag she'd only seen in magazines. For her sisters, the latest iPhones. For Michaela, a diamond bracelet that caught the light like frozen stars. Ernesto remained stone-faced throughout dinner, but Linda softened when Zayed spoke about honoring Filipino traditions, respecting family bonds, and promising to protect their daughter. He presented a formal marriage contract, employment papers showing his legitimate business holdings, and reference letters from prominent UAE officials. "Your daughter will want for nothing," Zayed assured them. "She'll continue her nursing studies in Dubai. You'll visit whenever you wish. This is not goodbye, this is our families becoming one." The Islamic ceremony happened 3 days later at a mosque in Makati. Michaela wore a white hijab-style veil, her hands decorated with henna. 20 guests attended, mostly her family and a few classmates. Zayed's side was represented by 2 business associates who barely spoke. The imam rushed through the proceedings in under an hour. That night, Michaela boarded Emirates Flight 342 to Dubai. She'd never left the Philippines before. As the plane lifted off, she watched Manila's lights shrink below her, unaware she was leaving behind everyone who could protect her. Zayed held her hand during the 9-hour flight, pointing out landmarks as they descended into Dubai at dawn. The city gleamed like something from a science fiction film, impossible towers piercing the clouds, golden desert meeting turquoise sea. A driver met them at the airport. The car drove for 40 minutes, leaving the city center behind, entering an exclusive area called Emirates Hills. When they stopped, Michaela's breath caught. The palace sprawled across 3 acres, all white marble and geometric archways. Fountains danced in the courtyard. Palm trees lined the driveway. Staff members stood in perfect formation by the entrance, 6 women in black abayas, heads bowed, faces expressionless. "Welcome home, my wife," Zayed said, his hand tight on her lower back. As Michaela stepped through the towering doors, one of the staff members briefly met her eyes. The look lasted only a second, but Michaela would remember it later. It was pure, unmistakable terror. Little did she know, this palace held dark secrets that would soon surface. The first 2 weeks felt like living inside a dream. Michaela woke in silk sheets, breakfast served on fine china by silent staff. Zayed presented her with a new wardrobe, Chanel dresses, Louboutin heels, Cartier jewelry that cost more than her father earned in 5 years. He was attentive, affectionate, constantly telling her how beautiful she looked, how lucky he was. But small things felt off from the beginning. 2 female attendants, Fatima and Amira, followed Michaela everywhere. To the bathroom, to the garden, to her own bedroom when Zayed wasn't there. "It's for your protection," Zayed explained. "You're new to Dubai. You don't know the dangers. They're here to help you adjust." On day 4, Zayed replaced her phone again. "Better security," he said. The previous one had tracking vulnerabilities. When she logged into Instagram, all her accounts had been deactivated. "I took the liberty," Zayed smiled. "Social media is toxic. You don't need that negativity in your new life." Her mother called that evening. Michaela tried to tell her about the strange staff behavior, but Zayed sat beside her throughout the conversation, his arm around her shoulders, smiling and nodding. Linda asked if everything was all right. Michaela heard herself saying, "Everything's perfect, Mom. I'm so happy." After she hung up, Zayed kissed her forehead. "See? Much better when we're honest with family. No need to worry them with adjustment concerns." Michaela convinced herself this was normal. cultural differences. Wealthy people had different security protocols. She was being paranoid, but then she saw them. During her second week, while walking through the East Courtyard, Michaela glimpsed two women through a window, both Asian, both young, both wearing expensive clothes, identical to hers. They sat in a furnished room, staring at nothing. When one noticed Michaela looking, a male guard immediately closed the curtains. "Who were those women?" Michaela asked Zayed that night. His expression didn't change. "Extended family. My cousins' wives. They prefer privacy. Different circumstances. You wouldn't understand their situations. Can I meet them? They're quite traditional. Not comfortable with outsiders yet. Give it time." But something in his tone made Michaela's stomach turn. That night, she tried to search for information on her new phone. Every search about Sheikh Zayed al-Suhail returned only glowing business articles. No personal information, no family photos, nothing about previous marriages. Have you ever ignored your gut feeling about someone? What happened? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. Michaela told herself she was being ungrateful. Zayed gave her everything. The unease was just homesickness, adjustment anxiety. She pushed the doubts away, smiled when he entered the room, wore the jewelry he selected. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. But the palace was about to reveal its true nature. By August 2023, 2 months after arriving in Dubai, Michaela understood the horrible truth: she wasn't a wife. She was a prisoner. It started when she asked to visit the nursing program Zayed had promised. "Soon," he said, his smile tight. "You're still adjusting." A week later, she suggested volunteering at a local hospital, just a few hours weekly. His expression darkened. "My wife doesn't need to work. Your place is here, in this home, where you're safe." The word "safe" sounded like a threat. Michaela decided to test the boundaries. She dressed casually one morning and walked toward the main gate. 2 security guards stepped into her path, hands raised politely but firmly. "Mrs. al-Suhail, where are you going?" "Just a walk, outside the compound." Not possible without Sheikh Zayed's permission. She tried the east gate, same result. The south entrance, blocked. Every exit had armed guards who smiled apologetically while preventing her from leaving. She was trapped inside 3 acres of marble and gold. That afternoon, she searched for her passport. It should have been in her luggage. Gone. She checked every drawer in their bedroom. Nothing. Finally, she asked Zayed directly. "Your passport is in my office safe," he said, not looking up from his laptop. "For security purposes. Document theft is common here. I'd like it back." Now he looked at her. "Why? Planning to go somewhere?" The temperature in the room dropped. This wasn't the charming man from the video calls. This was someone else entirely cold, calculating, dangerous. It's mine. I should have it." Zayed stood, walked over, placed both hands on her shoulders. His grip was gentle, but his voice was steel. "Michaela, everything you need is here. I provide everything. Why would you need a passport? Unless you're ungrateful for what I've given you?" She stepped back. "I want to call my family. Alone." He laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. "You call them every week, with you sitting next to me, because I enjoy speaking with them. Is that a crime?" Michaela grabbed her phone and tried to dial the Philippine embassy. The call wouldn't connect. She tried again. Nothing. She attempted to access her email. Password changed. Her banking app locked. Every communication channel was blocked. Zayed watched from the doorway. "I monitor everything on that device. Every call, every search, every attempt to contact the outside world. Did you think I was stupid?" The mask had completely fallen away. His voice was calm, matter of fact, like he was discussing the weather. The staff's terrified expressions finally made sense. They weren't afraid of their jobs, they were afraid of him. "Let me leave," Michaela whispered. "Please. I won't tell anyone anything. Just let me go home." "Home?" Zayed smiled. "This is your home. You are my wife. You belong to me. The sooner you accept that, the easier things will be." He left her standing there, shaking, understanding for the first time that she might never see Manila again. What would you do if you realized you were trapped in a foreign country? That night, as Michaela lay awake in the dark, she heard something that made her blood freeze. Screaming. a woman's voice, desperate and terrified, coming from somewhere in the West Wing. Then, silence. 3 nights later, Michaela heard it again, crying, soft, muffled, sobbing that seemed to drift through the palace walls like a ghost. This time, she didn't stay in bed. She had to know. She waited until 2 a.m., when Zayed was away on a business trip to Abu Dhabi. The attendants rotated shifts at night. She'd noticed their patterns. There was a 15-minute gap between rounds, 15 minutes to find answers. Michaela crept through the dark hallways, following the sound. It led her to the West Wing, a section of the palace she'd been told was under renovation. The doors were always locked, but tonight, one stood slightly open, as if someone had left in a hurry. She pushed it wider. The hinges creaked. The room was furnished but felt abandoned, a bed with rumpled sheets, a dresser, a vanity mirror, and covering one entire wall, photographs, dozens of them, pinned up like a gallery of horrors. Michaela's hand flew to her mouth. 3 women stared back at her, all Southeast Asian, all in their early 20s, all beautiful. The first set showed a Thai woman in traditional wedding attire, smiling nervously beside Zayed. The next photos tracked her transformation, the smile fading, her eyes growing hollow, bruises appearing on her arms. The final image showed her face frozen in terror, reaching toward the camera as if begging for help. The second woman was Indonesian, same progression, wedding joy dissolving into fear. Her last photo showed her with a black eye, tears streaming down her face. The third was Filipina. Michaela's breath caught. The woman wore the exact same wedding dress Michaela had worn, same henna patterns on her hands, same diamond bracelet on her wrist. The dates written on the photos: June 2022, exactly 1 year before Michaela's own wedding. She moved closer, her legs trembling. On the dresser lay personal documents scattered like forgotten evidence. A Philippine passport, Maria Santos, born 1999. A Thai ID card, Ploy Sharuensuk, born 2001. An Indonesian driver's license, Dwi Kusuma, born 2000. The dates told a horrifying story. Maria, married June 2019. Ploy, married March 2020. Dewey, married June 2022. Where were they now? Michaela opened the dresser drawers with shaking hands. Inside, she found torn clothing, strands of dark hair, and scratch marks gouged into the wooden interior. Someone had tried to claw their way out. In the back of the bottom drawer, hidden under a broken jewelry box, was a small notebook. She opened it. The handwriting was desperate, slanted, some words scratched so hard the pen had torn through the paper. My name is Dwi Kusuma. If someone finds this, please tell my family I tried to escape. He keeps us locked in the West Wing. There are 3 of us now. Maria has been here the longest, 4 years. She doesn't speak anymore. Ploy died last month. He said she fell, but I saw the marks on her neck. I'm writing this because I think I'm next. He's looking for a new wife. He showed me her photo, another Filipina girl. Please, someone help us before... The entry ended mid-sentence. Michaela's vision blurred. Her whole body went numb. The room spun. She wasn't the first. She was the 4th, maybe the 5th. How many women had Zayed brought here? How many had disappeared? Can you imagine discovering you're not the first victim? She had to get out, had to run, had to contact someone, anyone. The lights in the hallway blazed on. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, getting closer. Zayed's voice cut through the silence like a blade. Michaela, what are you doing in that room? But the worst was yet to come when Sheikh Zayed found her in that room. He stood in the doorway, still wearing his business suit from the Abu Dhabi trip. The charming smile was gone. What remained was something cold and predatory, a man who dropped every pretense. I asked you a question. Zayed stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. What are you doing here? Michaela clutched Dewey's diary against her chest. Where are they? Maria, Ploy, Dewey, where are these women? Zayed's laugh was hollow. They left. Left? Their passports are here. Their belongings. They left, he repeated, his voice hardening. Back to their countries. Ungrateful, all of them. I gave them everything, and they wanted more, so they went home. Then why are their photos still here? Why is there a diary talking about... He crossed the room in 3 strides and ripped the notebook from her hands. You're hysterical, exhausted. This room upsets you because you don't understand context. I understand perfectly. Michaela backed toward the wall, her heart hammering. You've done this before, multiple times. You bring women here, trap them, and when they try to leave, they learn a valuable lesson about loyalty. Zayed's voice was calm, measured, terrifying in its composure. You belong to me now, Michaela, just like the others before you. I chose you. I married you. I own you. Their families must be looking for them. Their families received final phone calls explaining that their daughters were happy but needed space. They received money, transfers, generous ones. After a while, families stop asking questions when the checks keep coming. Michaela's legs nearly gave out. No social media presence, no more calls home, just money and silence. What happens to disobedient wives, Zayed? He smiled, then a terrible, empty expression. They have accidents, falls downstairs, drownings in bathtubs. Very tragic. This is a foreign country, Michaela. Women disappear all the time, and nobody asks too many questions about what happens inside a sheikh's private residence. He grabbed her arm, his fingers digging into her flesh, and dragged her out of the room. She fought, screamed, but his grip was iron. The staff members in the hallway turned away, their faces carefully blank. They knew. They'd always known. Zayed threw her into their bedroom and locked the door from the outside. You'll stay here until you remember your place. Maybe a few days alone will teach you gratitude. Michaela collapsed against the door, sobbing, understanding with complete clarity that she might not survive this. The staff's terrified silence finally made perfect sense. They were too afraid of becoming victims themselves. What would you sacrifice to escape? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. Michaela had one chance, and she had to take it. Michaela spent 3 days locked in that room. Food arrived through a slot in the door delivered by a staff member who never spoke. On the 4th day, someone different came. A Filipina woman, mid-30s, with kind eyes that held years of carefully hidden pain. "I'm Rosa," she whispered in Tagalog, glancing nervously at the hallway. "I have 5 minutes before the cameras cycle back to this corridor. Please." Michaela grabbed her hand through the door slot. "Help me get out of here." Rosa's eyes filled with tears. "I've been working here for 6 years. I have 3 children back in Cebu." He threatened to hurt them if I ever spoke about what happens in this house. "But I can't stay silent anymore. Not after watching 4 women disappear. 4, not 3. There had been another before Maria." "Do you have a phone?" Michaela asked urgently. "He monitors everything. All our devices are tracked." Rosa hesitated. "But he's leaving for Qatar tomorrow, business meetings for 3 days. The guards get careless when he's gone. If we're smart, if we're fast." They formed a plan in whispered fragments over the next 24 hours. Rosa would steal a guard's phone during the shift, change a small window when security protocols relaxed. Michaela would photograph everything in the West Wing room as evidence. They'd contact the Philippine embassy together. The risk was catastrophic. If caught, they'd both disappear. Zayed left for Qatar on a Tuesday morning. Before leaving, he visited Michaela's room. "Behave while I'm gone. I've instructed the staff to report any unusual behavior. I'll know if you try anything stupid." 48 hours. That's all they had. Rosa managed to grab a phone during Wednesday's afternoon shift change. Her hands shook as she passed it through the door slot. 20 minutes. That's all we have before he checks in remotely. Michaela's fingers trembled as she dialed the Philippine embassy. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. "Philippine Embassy, Dubai. How may I help you?" "My name is Michaela Ramirez. I'm a Filipino citizen being held against my will. I need immediate help. There are other women. Some might be dead. Please, I'm running out of time." She gave them the address, explained everything in rapid bursts. The embassy official's voice turned sharp, professional. "Stay on the line. We're dispatching someone now. Do you have evidence?" "Yes. Photos, documents, a diary." Footsteps in the hallway. Rosa's panicked whisper, "Someone's coming." Michaela ended the call, deleted the history, and slid the phone back through the slot. Rosa disappeared just as a guard rounded the corner. Every second counted, and one mistake would be fatal. The Philippine embassy moved faster than Michaela dared hope. Within 6 hours, A consular official arrived at the palace gates with UAE police officers and legal documentation demanding Michaela's immediate release under international law protecting trafficked persons. The guards tried to block them. The official presented a court order. The standoff lasted 20 agonizing minutes before the gates finally opened. Michaela walked out carrying nothing but Dewey's diary and the photographs from the West Wing. Rosa walked beside her, finally free after 6 years of captivity disguised as employment. They were taken to a safe house, then to the embassy, where Michaela gave a full statement. The evidence she'd collected, photos, documents. The diary triggered an international investigation. Interpol got involved. So did human rights organizations. The investigation revealed a horrifying pattern. Sheikh Zayed al-Suhail wasn't even his real name. The man was Khalid Rahman, a businessman with a documented history of abuse complaints across 3 countries, all dismissed due to his family's wealth and political connections. He'd been operating this scheme for nearly a decade. Maria Santos's family had filed a missing person report in 2023. Ploy Charoensuk's mother had been searching for her daughter for 3 years. Dewi Kusuma's sister had traveled to Dubai twice, only to be turned away at the palace gates. Their complaints had been ignored, buried under layers of diplomatic immunity and money. Michaela returned to Manila in September 2023. The media coverage was intense. Her family held her like they'd never let go, but the trauma remained nightmares. Anxiety attacks, the constant fear that somehow Zayed would find her. As of today, Michaela is rebuilding her life. She's in therapy, working through PTSD. She's also become an advocate, partnering with organizations that combat international trafficking and online romance scams. She speaks at universities, warning young women about predators who use wealth and charm as weapons. The investigation into the missing wives continues. Maria's remains were discovered buried on the palace grounds. Ploy's body was never found. Dewey's fate remains unknown. The first victim, a Cambodian woman named Sophia, was identified through dental records. She'd been dead for 8 years. Zayed, or Khalid, fled to a country without extradition treaties. He remains free, protected by money and connections. The systemic issues that enabled his crimes persist. Diplomatic immunity shields, wealth purchasing silence, vulnerable women treated as disposable. Where are you watching from? Drop your location below. Have you heard similar stories in your community? If you know someone who's talking to a stranger online, especially someone offering financial help or quick marriage proposals, please share this story. Awareness can save lives. These predators rely on isolation and silence. Don't let them win. Michaela's story isn't unique, it's a warning. Predators like Zayed target vulnerable women with promises of love and security, then use isolation as a weapon. Red flags include rushed proposals, controlling behavior masked as protection, and cutting off outside contact. But here's the hope. Survivors can rebuild. Michaela is living proof that escape is possible, that speaking up matters. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you enjoyed this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future.